GM, everyone. Ismael here from Lagrange. I'm joined by Mikhail, founder of Gearbox Protocol, in person from Bangkok, Thailand at Devcon.
Good morning to everyone. Thanks for inviting Ismael. Really happy with our collaboration and finding the best way how we can move things forward.
I'm so happy to be here in person. Thank you for joining us. Mikhail, as a bit of background, I'd love for you to share what brought you to crypto in the first place, what inspired you to build Gearbox, and kind of the journey as the founder of a very impactful protocol in the DeFi space.
What I definitely like in building in crypto, it's like transparency
Mhm.
and openness and collaboration.
Yeah.
What we can see in Web 2, the people usually consider each other party on the market as a competitor. And Gearbox is totally friendly for everyone protocol. So itself, we do not provide a service. We empower as a protocol, leveraging their position. And now we are working on idea of credit account abstraction. When Gearbox could be simply embedded into the wallet, it's another way of making things all together. We are not willing to build our empire and say, hey, should serve us. All together, in a collaboration manner, we can deliver great user experience, and why we partner with Lagrange, because each collaboration very beneficial for both parties.
I love that. I think the concepts of credit account abstraction, the concepts of composable leverage, those are really things that you're on the forefront of pioneering. What I found so fascinating about it is that Gearbox has remained one of the most forward-looking protocols in the space, with your work with
Thank you.
Eigenlayer, with your work with Lagrange, and your work with AI now too. I'd love to hear a little bit more about how you've found emerging technologies impactful to your go-to-market and your strategy with leading Gearbox.
I think we are pretty happy with a team which support different stuff. So
Mhm.
now we have developers, people who working, and we have different layers of tasks. So I am happy to focus more on research,
Yeah.
and I believe we should not focus all time on solving things which and problems we have together. We should do and think about future, what we can deliver in the next step. And in this case, this I was an experiment when I tried to figure out how we can combine these technologies
Mhm.
and create much better UX for the user. How we can build a thing when could not be overcomplicated. Because today we are, of course, it's the best time for me because there are a lot of enthusiasts. If
Yeah.
you're in crypto, in a good company of people who are well educated, has a computer science background, you can talk a lot of very complicated topics, and I enjoy that. But if you want to go and attract more users, if we can want to make industry more friendly for non-tech savvy users, we should of course think how we can improve UX, how we can do things better, and how we can market fairness.
I think that's so well put. Because we recently, Lagrange and Gearbox, announced what I think is a landmark partnership of one of the first instances of tier one OG DeFi protocol using zero knowledge as part of a project that it's building or as part of a core function. And what we focused on was this idea of an upgraded version of farming pools or MasterChef standards. I'd love to hear a little bit more from you about how you see ZK playing into Gearbox's strategy over time.
I believe it's a pretty interesting. So
Mhm.
when I came to crypto in 2017, it was very fun because people said they say, hey, now we have the most modern technology in comparison with banks. And do you know banks use these very old programming languages came from 60. It's a very old technology. It's corporate bloody system, etc. In our new world, everything could be totally new and fine. But of course, you never can design things properly in horizon of like 10 or 20 years ahead years. And of course, now we have also some legacy
Mhm.
in the crypto software development. It's true. So we have some things which was done like ERC20.
Yeah.
It could be improved in many areas, but because a lot of tokens are already deployed and the standards become like a golden standard in the Ethereum ecosystem, we can't change these contracts. And at this case, what I'm really pity in EVM, and I totally understand, because it relies with the speed and resources needed to launch your node, is to get the historical data. It's a really good field for ZK coprocessor to provide verified data. So literally today, what we have even a few years ago, before Vitalik started this L2 ecosystem journey, very high gas cost.
Yeah.
And in this case, you think twice, can I add one more operation? Can I add one more check, read a storage slot, etc.? Today, with L2, it's like really booming. The gas cost very cheap. And now we can make more complex algorithms. For example, to find the void price, we can really query ZK coprocessor,
Yeah.
get the historical data, and make more intelligent decisions than we just get the latest price from chain Oracle or anything else. Yeah.
I love hearing you talk about this evolution of the paradigm of writing code in Solidity, because I think you almost better than anyone else understand the amount of gas optimization that was required pre-L2s to actually build something that could work on mainnet. An S load is 3,000 gas, right? A storage read is 2,100 gas. It's expensive.
Yes.
And so when you think about the journey of Gearbox, and you think of how you've evolved Gearbox through as a credit protocol, as a protocol that was heavily used as part of kind of the points meta, and that I think really had an exciting increase in TVL with all the excitement with eigenlayer, and is now on the forefront of innovative technology. Like, where is Gearbox going? How do you see Gearbox evolving as a DeFi protocol in the space?
Or I think we have now two major things we are working on, and literally this. So the first one is a credit account abstraction, and it was my initial vision since 2021. But when we talked about that in 2021, people said, "Hey, it's impossible. Are you crazy to build your own wallet to create this experience?" And these days, we also built a proof of concept, which use Wallet Connect. So users could simply connect Gearbox and trade on Uniswap, and Uniswap recognize Gearbox credit account as native wallet. But of course, people were not ready yet. And then when Vitalik put a lot of attention on account abstraction, it would a great move forward. And now I believe we can see a very good synergy in abstraction, all complexity of lending, and make them very friendly for user embedded into the wallet.
Yeah.
And here, what I already mentioned regarding these EVM restrictions, why we need ZK coprocessor as well to deliver such kind of technology, because the most tricky part from security standpoint related to allowances and approvals. And each time when people read in Twitter that any protocol was hacked, you can see, hey guys, we definitely recommend to go to revoke allowances.is, I forgot the name, and remove all your allowances. It's a big problem, and we are really going in Gearbox in help of other protocols launch like a zero allowance initiative. It's like a standard for safety. If you do any operation in a batch, you can set this allowance to zero. And it's create a lot of sense from security standpoint. It's good for credit account abstraction. It could be integrated further, etc. And in this case, the ZK coprocessor could help us. Why? Because there is no way today to check if user on chain, if user has some allowances for external protocols or not. And imagine I can make a call to Lagrange. I can get all allowances, and then on the contract side, I can decide is it safe or not to give some external pool money on it and convert this account into credit one. So altogether, we can build a safer solution, and it could give us a next step for better user experience.
I love this. I think one of the things that I found so enjoyable about working with you and the Gearbox team is a lot of the use cases of where ZK coprocessors can be applied in DeFi from the farming pools to the credit account abstraction to really all of the stuff we've talked about, come from you, where you have an appreciation of the underlying technology and you also understand how a DeFi protocol is built. I find with a lot of the ZK companies, they fall into this trope of they're trying to identify use cases in DeFi and sell them to DeFi protocols, rather than DeFi protocols understanding or DeFi founders understanding the application of the technology and organically finding where it's useful for their business.
Yeah, it's true. And I believe it's altogether we can really move forward. I was really happy to join, for example, Sequence Week. Thanks for Justin Drake for invitation to talk with people who also built a modern technology, like pre-confirmations, inclusion and exclusion, etc. And I believe the approach when people who are working on real product, all together with infrastructure people, with people who build the coprocessor, with shared security to at least find a common grounds and think about the next step of utilization. Because sometimes in software development, you can fix a small error by just adding one field into data structure, and it could potentially in the future save a lot of efforts of people trying to hack the system and get the same stuff here. So it's, I believe, the next point. And now I can see the pendulum move from infrastructure back to applications. In this case, I can see a lot of inspiration about low latency blockchains, new kind of applications, AI, etc. So people are wondering what we can do. We have a lot of infrastructure and it's time to build and do experiments.
Exactly. I love that. And so I'd love to hear from you, just broadly speaking, which of the standards in DeFi, because we've been talking a lot about standards, do you think are the most poised to be disrupted by ZK, by AI, by any area?
I think standards is done not to be disrupted, to be honest.
But we have more infra.
We should follow them and try to implement all of stuff regarding that. I'm really interested. It's what was my research, and I published it recently regarding using AI agents. So my idea is that the next big thing which we can implement could be an AI intelligent agents, when you can create strategy in your plain language and what is significant in your native language. So we are people who are speaking English. Of course, I'm not native speaker. My English is the worst ever.
Not true, not true.
But by the way, if you can allow users to write the strategy in a plain language in DeFi, it's cool. For example, you can say, hey, I don't know if the Federal Reserve could lower the interest rate by BTC. And it's what you write here, and it's automatically executed. In this case, I think we can create more interested stuff. And the next part, I am also pretty bullish in DeFi, is to get more data to build better yield optimization strategies, what is totally doable by ZK. Because now, if you can see a smart contract, it's very simple, and thanks for that, because even build the simple system, safe and robust, is a big task. But at the same time, imagine you can analyze much more data. You can do a lot of computation on the Keiko process regarding price prediction. Of course, it's all modern. It's not like you can build a things, press button and earn money. But of course, more data could create more accurate predictions, more accurate strategies. And if we can make it simpler with AI, maybe in a plain language, it could be a great boom in DeFi when people who has a lot of creativity. I am not willing to cover all use cases. I am so dumb for that. There are billions of people who are smarter than me. Why we should limit them in a very simple algos? If we can unleash their creativity, it will really boom in the industry.
I love that. I really think that there's a couple points there I want to double click on. Firstly, I think the point that you mentioned about data and AI being the two largest drivers of value and of new value in DeFi long term is very prescient. And it's also very synergistic, where AI and data effectively there's a symbiosis between them.
Absolutely.
The more data you can access, within the public input of your
Yes.
proofs, the more you
Verifiable
can do.
data.
Exactly. The more
Verifiable
verifiable.
data.
Exactly. And then the more expressive the computation can be, the more expressive the models can be. And one of the things I noticed is yesterday you announced some very interesting work with AI,
Yes.
with autonomous agents in production, I think you mentioned.
It's research. It's
Yeah.
research here. Of course, we do some kind of stuff to understand what the big next things
Exactly.
DeFi to be ready and learn new stuff. Because today, what I definitely try to do is learning by building. As for me, one working product, when you can touch and
Exactly.
something, could give you much more experience than reading a lot of articles. Of
Yes.
course, I'm not totally against articles. It's not true. But when you start building, your brain, at least my brain is lazy.
Yes.
So you read the article, okay, it could be done. But when you start building, you can see real restrictions. You can solve real problems. And why I really like to build something and test how it could be implemented.
Yes.
It's like a creative process. And I totally agree that verifiable data, it's a good way to make things openness.
It is.
And together with this research, when you can build autonomous agents, we can create more open economy here, because now we should. So today, people, if they want to manage anything, they should work 24/7 just to do decision based on any news feeds, any data which we can transfer, or people could use like a very passive strategy like walls. So it's like a banks.
Exactly.
Can we find something in the middle? Something when you can literally explain what you want, if you have any belief in that. Yeah. And then the system could really follow your decision without requirement to sit 24/7 in Twitter and besides the computer and just check what happens in the crypto.
I think that's very well put. I really think the point that you made about building being the best way to actually learn about something, as well as the best way to put the first embodiments forward of what this could look like in the space and to educate the space, I think is very apt. So I'd love to know a little bit more about what you announced yesterday related to the use of AI agents. I think you mentioned it's something live right now, like a very early version.
Yeah, so the main idea is very simple, because it also there are a lot of buzzwords regarding AI, etc. And sometimes people start talking about not practical things. They say, hey, could AGI conquer the world? What would happen if we lost a job? If you go to the technical ground, AI is a still computational graph.
Yes.
So it's a very complicated, but it's still a mass function with billion of parameters. And the logic here is very simple. Imagine we can launch a eigenlayer AVS.
Yes.
We can create as the first part such kind of on-chain data feed when we can put a lot of verified data using the K coprocessor, using real-world oracles, which could literally, for example, provide verifiable data from social network like Farcast, or maybe even for Twitter, if we can find a way how we can be integrated, but maybe with US Boom and Elon Musk is happy with crypto as well. He also could provide some API for that to at least finally transfer all Vitalik's tweet with signatures.
Exactly.
So we have an on-chain feed and we have a continuously put in data there. And what is good in blockchain, because if the data posted on-chain, it has a strict ordering and it has a very verifiable timestamp. And then based on this data feed, we can build an AVS operator who listens this event, put it in the input of LLM all together with users' prompts. So, for example, something happened. I don't know, you get the information that Federal Reserve lower interest rate. Yeah, it's come on chain. Then it triggers your autonomous AI bot. And you write this rule. So today, this task is very predictable and doable for LLM, because it reads news, it reads your prompts, which also stored on smart contract. And because all piece of data on chain verifiable, we can have a deterministic behavior of this AVS operator. Each deterministic behavior results with slashing, clear slashing mechanic. It's how the shared security is built. So everyone can check that bot do what user asks. Of course, there are a lot of security stuff, so it's not an easy building. And what we are working on, it was like just a proof of concept.
Yeah.
Because each time when the new technology comes to the market, you can see a lot of North Korea hackers say, hey, now we know. And of course, it has some complications.
Yeah.
But in terms of things, I believe it's a big game changer in UX.
It is.
You literally could trigger textual news. You can literally trigger on tweets, science papers, and you can also build something not only generation profits. I know some people really dislike this public good here.
Yes.
But at this case, imagine you can build a system, for example, which really fund projects who really deliver something good. So if your results of delivery could be verified,
Yes.
for example, I don't know, you post a scientific article in some journal. We got this information on chain.
Yeah.
It's analyzed, and maybe some bot automatically provide a grant for use. And it's created things which is fully open, fully transparent, what is good, because people could trust more if they could understand the decision-making process.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you can get grants, it's a totally hidden. And here, if you can get verifiable data, pretty clear written rules, and autonomous execution, is create a next level. And it's how we can combine all together this modern technology to create something really great.
I love that. I think one of the fallacies in the space that people often express is that like we have too much infra. And what people often don't realize is that as you compose the infra together, you can actually build these complete new systems that deliver fundamentally new value to dApps. The intersection between AI, restaking, and coprocessors actually creates something in totality that is fundamentally new and valuable to a DeFi protocol. And so, and frankly, delivers a new UX to users. And so, what I'd love to talk a little bit more about is one of the points you brought up there, the idea of commitments, of credible commitments that the AI makes, or that the deployer of the AI requires the AI to make over what the model leverages with restaking.
Restaking, it's a pretty complex stuff.
Yeah.
I believe we should definitely check real usage, because today, as I can see, a lot of people building new products. And of course, restaking, it's a little bit easier way to launch wherever you want here, regarding to think a lot how to put your data in the EVM compatible.
Yeah.
Here you can do whatever you want. So at this case, it's a pretty cool, and I'm still interested in this shared security because I believe the way how we should use it, not try to copy existing solutions. So what I can see is that we have, for example, Chainlink. It works well. It doesn't use restaking. If I, of course, maybe stay updated, maybe they changed a little bit. And they can provide pricing data for majority of assets. And then people started, and I think it's totally fine, to build oracles on restaking. But of course, maybe we should we could find in the future some like a golden standard, etc. But when someone tried to pitch like the 20th reincarnation of Oracle on restaking, and I think it's a little bit scary from retail users and people who check the industry and why they talk we have too much infra, because one problem could be solved with similar solution. And in this case, I really appreciate Lagrange that you built this SQL possibility to query the data. I think it's a very interesting differentiator from other protocols. And I definitely believe that people, especially for AI, it's a very good feature. Why? Because people who use and work in data science, who use things in data analysis, SQL is there like a native language. If you try to build a query in normal TypeScript just to query smart contract, it's a little bit complicated for people with data science background. So I think it's a very good feature which could really help Lagrange to support such kind of data scientists and people who are build better stuff. And in this case, I believe good part, what I can see maybe for eigenlayer,
Yeah.
is to build a lot of things like stutter. Yeah. So they have a hello AVS type script. You can literally deploy it and start immediately. And if you can do like something, I don't know, Python notebook, which would allow you to query using Lagrange all data to make any things, people can do more experiments.
Exactly.
And more experiments sometimes could end up with a working prototype solution and things which finally go to production.
I love that. I really appreciate you saying that about Lagrange and the product that we build. Our goal is really to be able to leverage eigenlayer and restake security to build new types of networks that deliver zero knowledge proofs that would otherwise be impossible without it. We talk about this internet of proving or the internet of verifiability that Lagrange is building, and it really is predicated on the use of restaked assets. And so one of the things that I found very interesting that eigenlayer has been talking about recently is this idea of credible commitments by AI, that a model is deployed, an autonomous agent is deployed, what you built, and it uses restaking such that the AI model stays within the bounds. So that the AI model goes outside of what it's supposed to do, there's an economic penalty such that the decision framework changes. So how are you using restaking in the experiments that you're doing with autonomous agents?
Yeah, so of course, it's like I at first took this hello AVS because it was the easiest way. And as I said, when people try to use business development for developers, it's not maybe the right stuff just to say, hey, something in a cafe, etc. Build developer tools. Why really Ethereum today outperform a lot of other chains? Because we have a really great level of tooling. And this thanks for Devcon who built Foundry and a lot of tools all around. So I really remember things when I started in smart contract development, when we have a truffle and it was a nightmare. So you all time try to guess what's happened wrong. So now it's more interactive development. Now it's much easier. And in this case, I totally believe that when you want to create something developer friendly, start from different Kickstarter template on educational stuff, what is also good, do SQL possible from Python notebooks for data scientists, etc. And the next part, what I learned from using shared security, that idea could be a very simple regarding using restaking stuff and AI, because just imagine from some perspective, maybe it sounds a little bit futuristic and I really try avoid different buzzwords. But imagine you have a smart contract which holds some prompts or strategy. Then you have a shared security which guarantees execution. And it guarantees this model would be launched on exact time or trigger and the results. And then literally you can destroy the ownership of the smart contract who manage the model. And this model in some perception exists as something intelligent and standalone. Because now there is nobody in the world. Of course, if you can buy 100% of each stake, you can.
But still, no one practical.
In normal practical way, no one could really make any changes in immutable smart contract. Thanks for immutability and blockchain system. We have a system which autonomously make decisions. Thanks for deterministic LLM and of course restake. And it could really start to make money. So it looks like we can create a fully autonomous, intelligent agent which try to survive in this hard world.
I love it.
And who knows, just imagine in some days this model could really overperform humans, grab all money, and we will say, hey, give us. I start funding.
Oh my God.
But it's literally...
It's a financial virus.
But it's literally interesting that this autonomy could create a full independence on
Exactly.
humans. And blockchain is a great environment for such kind of experiments. And of course, I'm not talking about AGI who can conquer the world,
Yeah.
but in terms of experiment, the model could start, I don't know, survive in blockchain world. The model could really try to implement different strategy. I think it's a very exciting field for experiments.
It is. I totally agree with that. And I would also say that the intersection between restaking to create these economic commitments to keep the AI in bounds, as well as the autonomous nature of an AI running on a blockchain, creates this very interesting intersectionality. What you can build effectively is these unstoppable pieces of software that through novel cryptography and restaking can be extended to even these autonomous intelligent systems. So as a final question to wrap up, I'd love to know what your spiciest take is for crypto and DeFi over the next 24 months.
I like the idea that people finally decided to go back to DeFi. So
Mhm.
they have a journey when DeFi has had a lack of attention,
Mhm.
and now the situation has changed.
Yeah.
So my point there, and I believe that we will finally can see
Mhm.
that organization will start to transform their business, make it more open and transparent.
Mhm.
Because previously we had no roll-ups. So it was a pretty hard for maybe some big organization like a
Mhm.
public US company from top 500 index of Nasdaq, for example, here, to implement something like in a smart contract level. I believe rollup is like Web3 servers. So as a few public companies already started experiments
Mhm.
like a Sony blockchain. And the next part, when these corporations start some experiments, build some new system on these rollups,
Mhm.
the next part, they will decide to join for trading and exchanging assets. It's so natural.
It is. It is.
And if we can find there, because all companies, all corporations, especially large companies, are built as a business. So they need to find how they could really trade their asset, exchange between different roll-ups,
Mhm.
do this stuff. And of course, it could create a totally new level for DeFi. And at my point, what I really believe is a game changer, especially for me, it's why I'm blockchain. I do not evaluate a lot like privacy or immutability. Openness for me and transparency is the best things ever. In a normal bank, you put your money on it and that's all. You should trust.
Yeah.
You ask, hey guys, what's going inside your bank? And you say, you can read the
Mhm.
annual report and we have some auditors and it's fine. But you
Yes.
can make a counterparty argument. You say, hey guys, but why there are some banks which went to bankruptcy
Mhm.
and nobody thought about that? They say, we don't know, it's a system, etc. In blockchain, you can see how money go inside the organization.
Mhm.
And what I've really learned, so previously I had a bad mindset
Yes.
regarding companies, but now we can see that public companies in many cases outperform private companies.
Yes.
And if we can make companies more public, if we can break the future when really people do their business openly, transparently,
Yes.
and verifiably,
I love that.
it could really be the next generation when people could trust more to financial system, more trust in finance. It's a very significant. And if you can do this verifiable, transparent DeFi and attract more players from corporate and individuals who were not familiar,
Mhm.
we can create a better market which really fulfill public needs here, not just casino when people sometimes
Exactly.
perceive it here.
I love that. It's very future looking. I think it's very prescient. And I think it's a very optimistic view, and one that I personally agree with as well, about the impact that verifiable finance
Absolutely.
and DeFi very broadly will have on the world economy. Mikhail, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks you for inviting. Gold time, very good and happy to talk with you about all complexity and how we can do it easier and better to improve the industry.
Thank you so much.